Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Destination Procrastination, to another one of our podcasts. Long-running fuck.
Hey.
Okay. I'm not going. You know who it is after this point. It's been two podcasts.
You already know who it is.
Every SoundCloud rapper ever. You know who we are. We know who you are. All 10 of our subscribers.
We don't even have 10 subscribers. It's fucking 4.
But this is Confessions of Serial Gamers.
Yes, you got it right.
A podcast series where we talk about whatever we want. And today what we're talking about is our favourite games and why. We're planning on talking about our top 2 game series, but if we can't fill the allotted time in 2 game series, we're going to talk about 3 game series.
4.
Or 4 or 5, depending on how far we get. So, Benjamin.
Yes.
Would you... Actually, interesting fact about Ben. You'd think on his birth cert, his full name would be like Benjamin or Benedict, but it's just fucking Ben. 3 letters, just Ben. It's incredibly strange.
It's just my name. Like, who calls their fucking child Corbin?
My parents. My parents, Ben.
Oh, yes.
Okay, so Ben.
Lovely Mr. and Mrs. Corbin.
Yeah, no last names, people.
Oh, you got worried there.
Yeah. But stop. Okay. Ben has this really weird thing where if you touch his leg, he goes into like full on mental shutdown mode. He goes totally catatonic. And he thinks it's funny to do it to me. But it just involves him scraping his nails lightly up my leg. And I don't like how aroused it makes me.
I know I aroused you.
Yeah, of course you arouse me. But anyways.
Thank you.
Anyways.
Right.
Favourite games and why? Your first one is?
My first one is Assassin's Creed.
Oh, you fucking hype beast.
I ain't a fucking hype beast. I've been playing that game since fucking Revelations.
You're the kind of prick that wears Yeezys and €100 jumpers with no writing on them.
What's this?
It's a diesel hoodie that cost me 20 quid. It's not even a hoodie, it's a t-shirt.
It's a Jack and Jones, can you read it?
Diesel Jack and Jones, they're literally all the same.
Diesel pants on you.
Okay. Favourite games and why? Ins Creed.
Ins Creed and Dishonored. They're my 2.
I said mention one at a fucking time, Ben.
Do you know what? Right? I don't need this shit from you.
Okay? I own you.
No, I actually own everything. I made everything.
Shut up.
This is my channel that you're featuring on.
They came for you, they stayed for me.
Or reading.
But anyway, Assassin's Creed.
Yeah. I like Assassin's Creed. Well, I liked older Assassin's Creed. Newer Assassin's Creed's getting shit. Stop playing with my belly button! God damn it!
Assassin's Creed.
Assassin's Creed, stop playing with my belly button. The next.
No. God damn you stop playing with my feelings and start playing with my belly button.
No. I don't want anyone playing with my belly button. Yeah, no, I love Assassin's Creed. I love the older ones, because just how lore heavy they got. They put a spin on world history. That yes, Corbin. Finger motions.
Spinny finger motion.
Spin around in your office chair. No, they put a spin on world history, and they kind of made it a lot more exciting. And the later games, the previous games, I loved all the stuff with the Izu Empire and just the ones who came before. And I found it really interesting that all the Roman gods and stuff were all based off of just people from the Izu Empire and how they were the most technologically advanced society ever that got killed by the meteorite that was supposed to kill the dinosaurs, and how they're responsible for creating humanity, and how they had all the pieces of Eden to mind control humanity. And then I found it.
Yeah, that was just Ben's dad in the background. We don't have exactly have a professional setup. We're in Ben's room in his house, so if you hear a bit of background noise, flying about the place, that's not our fault. No,
don't sue us.
Don't sue us for shitty quality.
You can't sue us for that. You can sue EA though. Please do. No, my first game was Revelations after my. Okay, Corbin's just exposed himself.
Yeah, you can't see because there's no camera, but I like messing with Ben and making him uncomfortable because it completes my life. Stop rubbing my leg. Do you think I won't pop out a boner and shove it up you? Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, these the podcasts are not safe for work. NSFW. So if you're gonna show these to a colleague, make sure fuck it, we're getting off track. Come on.
Yeah. I've been playing Assassin's Creed since Revelations when my uncle got it for himself, and that looks cool. I gotta try this, and now I've been kind of hooked ever since. My favorite ones is 2. That's kind of everyone's favorite, but it's my favorite too. I'm not gonna lie.
Just to preface that'll either make this podcast really good or really shit, is I've never played either of Ben's favorite games, and Ben has played neither of my favorite games.
So this is gonna be a fun ride.
Yeah, I've played the only Assassin's Creed game I've played to completion is Assassin's Creed 3, which I think we can all agree wasn't the best game.
No, but I mean, then again, internet come at me, but I didn't like Assassin's Creed Black Flag at all.
I beat Assassin's Creed Black Flag too, and I thought that was fucking amazing.
I thought like the gameplay was great. I loved everything about it except the story. I thought the story was awful because
who plays an Assassin's Creed game for the story?
I do. Did you not just hear me for the last 6 minutes?
Yeah, but it's Assassin's Creed. You don't play it because you want deep character development and shit. You play it because you want to stab some people.
Ezio Auditore is probably one of my favorite game characters. Period.
I never played any games with Ezio in them.
You should. They're like the pinnacle of the Assassin's Creed games. No, it just gets kind of
Edward Kenway is the pinnacle of the Assassin's Creed games.
You're only saying that because it's Matt Ryan.
Oh, Matt Ryan, my dream daddy.
Is it Matt or Mark?
Matt Ryan.
Matt.
For those of you who don't know, Matt Ryan played Constantine on the very short-lived but very underrated Constantine TV show
that we both loved.
Oh God. Oh.
We'll probably do a review on Constantine.
As well, to preface, we're both straight.
But we would totally gangbang.
Yeah, but we're just comfortable enough in our sexuality to...
Sexuality.
To put it
out.
Yeah, Ben's a celiac too. Can't eat gluten or glucose.
Corbin's just anemic.
I'm not anemic, I'm skinny.
And pasty as fuck.
I'm not pasty, I'm beautiful. I'm beautiful.
I'm not pasty, I'm translucent.
If this were Russia, I would be considered beautiful.
Oh, would you know?
Yes.
Anyways.
Watch every Russian person flock to the comments. But anyways, Assassin's Creed.
Yes.
Keep going.
So, I mean, I didn't like Desmond as a character throughout the whole
No, Desmond was kind of whiny and weird.
It was whiny and weird, but I did kind of understand the significance of him. And then it just felt like once they killed him off...
They kind of, in later games, they kind of diminished his significance because, you know, he was the one with assassin's blood, he kept going back in time and through the machine. But then, every Assassin's Creed game, still going back in time, we just played as some random fucker. So really, is he that important? Yeah,
well, you see, the whole point of that was that they were like, shit, we killed Desmond, now what do we do? So then they were like, alright, so let's just say that the Animus got evolved so much that now we can just take anybody's DNA, doesn't matter whose bloodline it is, and let you go through that. And then they were like, that's a perfect idea. And no, it wasn't, because it fucked everything up.
Yeah, I think they just kind of diminished their own main character.
See, the thing was,
because I think we can all agree, your current time protagonist in every Assassin's Creed game after Desmond died was had no personality, was completely ineffectual.
It's just been there has been none. It's the only, well, except in Origins, there is a character now, a main character, but in Black Flag and in Unity and Syndicate, you basically just kind of played yourself, and then there was in Black Flag there was barely any playability during the present day storyline. In Unity and Syndicate there was none. It was just cutscenes, and it was just, that's where it went downhill because they hadn't thought of a contingency plan after they killed Desmond. That was very obvious.
I think they should have just dropped the whole present day shit after Desmond, and they should have just kept it totally in the past.
Yeah, or I don't know. I just
no one cares about the present day. It's more just a break from the actual game.
Yeah, no. I don't know. I didn't think the present day was too bad. Obviously, you prefer that they go back in time.
Yeah, I always thought it kind of, because you never got any warning. It just happened after you completed certain missions, and it always kind of took you out of the experience a bit.
Yeah, I suppose when like the anime starts deconstructing itself and you have to run away from it, and then you end up in the present day. But I don't know. Yeah, I thought Desmond was a pretty weak character, but I still would prefer to have a Desmond than to have just cutscenes where, you know, Bishop is just talking directly to you, the player.
Abstergo employee number 1, like.
Yeah, that was Black Flag. It was just, I don't know.
Yeah, but at least Black Flag gave you something to do in the present day. Cause, you know,
it wasn't. You didn't do anything. You just kind of.
You the hacking mini games. They were okay. They weren't great, but they give you something.
Like, it was literally just walk and talk, and that was all you had to do. Like, you didn't get to do any cool climbing. There was no assassinations. You walked to this place. You did a hacking mini game. You walk back to your office. You put on your VR headset, and off you went.
Yeah, but the present day stuff in Assassin's Creed 3, I think, was, you know, just Desmond climbing around his little cave, fucking being on Moody.
In 3, there was a lot more to do in the present day than more games, because in 3 you got to finally kill Warren Vivek, or I think that's Vivek is Skyrim. Warren something, but he was the main bad guy from Abstergo from the very first game. He's the guy that I think he spiked your drink and then took you into Abstergo and then forced you to go into the original Animus that only you could go into, or at least anyone with the sort of Assassin's Creed bloodline could go into to follow their own ancestors. And he forced you to keep doing that until you found what he was looking for, which was the apple. And that's when, you know, Lucy kind of sees what he's doing, and Lucy is a secret, you know, is an assassin, who then you later find out is actually a sleeper agent for the for the Templars, and that's why you have to kill her in 3. I mean, not 3, in Brotherhood.
Yeah, I don't know. I just never considered Assassin's Creed the strongest game series out there.
I just loved going back in time and being able to like climb any building, and
that part's really cool. It's just the whole getting snapped back to the present day to, you know, experience events you don't give a shit about. Like, all you're thinking in the present day is, okay, this is all cool, and yeah, I'm in Abstergo, but when can I go back into the Animus to play the game?
Yeah, no, you're right. The present day is definitely the weaker part, and that's why I thought, like, when they killed Desmond,
they were just going to cut it out.
I thought that A, they were going to cut it out, or B, they're going to, like, really ramp it up this time, and, like, we'd get to see, like, full-on, like, present day war between, like, the Templars and the Assassins.
That'd be kind of shit. Because there'd be no swords or anything, it'd just be all fully automatic weapons and stuff. It'd be kind of boring.
Well, no, because in Syndicate, Sean, I don't know if you remember Sean from the present day.
Oh, they got the glasses, the British guy?
Yeah, the British guy. He develops his own Assassin's Creed hidden blade, except it's not a blade. It's kind of like it's a taser, except it's a deadly taser. So that's how he kills like one of the main Templars that's hunting them in Syndicate. He just grabs her behind the neck then at the very end of the game, and he like shocks her with the taser gauntlet on his wrist, and she obviously dies.
Another thing I wish about the Assassin's Creed game is they jump back and forth between timelines so much.
Yeah.
I wish they would just keep like a steady linear timeline. Like, okay,
they had one up until what was it? They had one up until Black Flag. And like everything was going like in an absolute streamline. And then they were like, shit, we kind of gotten a bit too ahead of ourselves. We kind of wanted to do other games.
Fucking pirates.
Pirates.
Fucking Egypt.
Like, it was a bit weird.
They must just have like spin a wheel of timelines. Blindfold someone, hand them a dart, tell them to throw it at it, and whatever it lands on, they fucking roll with.
No, they just kind of like, right, what's any timeline we can do that's not feudal Japan?
Oh, everyone wants feudal Japan.
Everyone wants feudal Japan. Who wouldn't? Wouldn't you want to be a ninja during feudal Japan? I fucking would. I wouldn't want to be a samurai. They're too big and heavy and won't make good assassins. They make great Templars, but they wouldn't make very good assassins.
I don't know. I kind of just want Assassin's Creed is one of those game series I wish it just bowed out gracefully while it was still in its prime, rather than just drive it like a good movie like Rocky 3 and 4.
Never watched Rocky.
Yeah, Rocky 1 and 2 are amazing. 3 and 4 are terrible.
Well, I mean, I don't know. I think Origins is kind of like kicking it back up a bit.
I don't know. I think Origins has changed up the core gameplay too much to be more action oriented than stealth. Or like the old games used to reward you with stealth.
Yeah.
Because if you got caught, you were absolutely fucked.
Yeah.
You had 20 enemies on you, and you just couldn't keep up with that many. This game's like, want to be stealthy for 5 minutes? Cool. 20 enemies come at you, whatever, you're fine.
I don't know. I think like Origins, it definitely did change the combat and made stealth just kind of obsolete, which I hate because I love stealth games. But I mean, it seems like going the Witcher style was like the best option for them.
No, I always kind of like the combat. The kind of counter and then wait and then.
No, because I always found the combat was just too easy. You just had to wait for someone to attack you. You press B and then X, and then you have them instantly killed. Like
Assassin's Creed games were never about the combat. They were about the sneaking around and the stealth and the whatnot.
Yeah.
So you don't need. All you need is a solid combat system. You don't need a really in-depth one.
They only introduced the stealth button back in Unity. So I mean, we've only had 3 games with actual stealth buttons. Stealth it was great, but it was always a pain because you couldn't crouch down and hide behind things. It was very contextualized. You had to find a specific bush, or sometimes you had to hit a corner in a specific way to kind of put yourself against the corner, and then you'd have to like position it a little way to the left, a little bit more to the right, or sometimes it didn't work at all. Sometimes enemies could see you, sometimes they couldn't. It was all kind of very just absolutely just kind of ridiculous, and
yeah, but
that's
the point. Like, stealth isn't supposed to be easy. You're not supposed to just have a button to stealth. You're supposed to have to really try it to not get caught.
No, but I mean, like, crouching could have made it so much more easier in the other games. Do you know what I mean? Like, just having a button to crouch. I remember when 4 Black Flag came out, and there was this teaser trailer. I think it was for the Wii U, but it showed Edward going down this path in the jungle, tailing some targets, and he moved from a bush. Obviously, when you went into a bush, you crouched. But then he got out of the bush and walked for about like 5 feet, crouching, and people went, "Oh, there's a crouch button! Oh my god! The world is gonna end! There's a crouch button! We can do things!" And then, no, that wasn't the case.
Maybe it's just me, but have you ever found like just the general movement in Assassin's Creed kind of weird and clunky?
Its Origins, I think, has made it the best.
Like, even turning around is like, it's like tank controls.
No, I never found that. What I found was weird was that, like, having the sort of the shove button, like,
or
why?
The worst one was when you were climbing, and you kept like, and you like hit the analog stick just a little bit, and you like fucking jump all over the place. You're like, stop, just stay still.
Yeah.
And you like go down a ledge, then go back up a ledge, then go. You're just like,
yeah.
Stop moving, please.
No, that was definitely a problem that the older system had, but the newer ones have kind of gotten rid of that problem.
And my favourite problem, which Ben did like 4 times today playing Origins, is he'd try and stealth kill someone, but the game would be so clunky, he'd jump off the roof instead of killing him. He'd just kind of like knee him in the elbow, and they'd notice him and learn all the carrots.
Stop. Or there was the one where I went to assassinate a guy in Origins, and there was a sun bleacher in the way, but it still gave me the option. So I went to hit the assassinate button, and then he jumped onto the sun bleacher, alerting the guy, and then I tried to drop down and hit the guy, and he moved out of the way, and then it was just a long, dreary fight.
Yeah, I don't think a perfect Assassin's Creed game is ever going to exist.
No, but I mean, the old games are pretty good.
Yeah, before Ubisoft
did it.
Yeah, pretty much.
They Ubisofted it.
Before Ubisoft EA'd it.
Yeah, they were like, ooh, Activision makes a lot of money from Call of Duty getting released every year. Maybe we'll do the same thing.
Yeah, I think if they just took it a couple of years out.
They did for Origins.
Yeah.
Look at what... I mean, it was much more of an improvement. I don't think I could have taken another kind of Unity Syndicate style.
Kind of thing, yeah.
I think I would have just been gone. Because, I mean, Unity had me on the edge.
And like just dropping the series altogether.
Yeah, and then Syndicate kind of brought back a little bit more hope for me. I was like, oh, I did like Syndicate. One gripe I had with Syndicate was that it was way too easy to level up. I hit max level before I even started the actual story.
Yeah, like the one thing I've always kind of hated about Assassin's Creed is the game is not play tested very well.
No, it's
There
not.
is a lot of problems within the game, from balance to bugs to glitches to just things stopping.
Yeah, no, it has problems, and I'll admit that.
Like the worst one I ever experienced was, I think I was at one of my friends' houses playing the one set, just where you meet Leonardo. I was going to say DiCaprio, but I mean Da Vinci.
Do you know I haven't won an Oscar yet?
But you know that game?
Yeah, I
I
do.
was playing that one, and I was surrounded by, I think, like 4 or 5 enemies, and out of nowhere, the game just kind of started, and all the enemies were gone. I was like, well, okay, I guess I go on my merry little way.
I never experienced that before. But no, like I love the story. I love all this sort of the stuff with the Izus. I love the Subject 16 storyline. I thought was really well done.
I think it's when games like these stop being what they are and start being like really deep, like, oh, it was aliens, they kind of all go downhill.
I don't know. Let's see. The thing is, like, the Izus aren't anything new. They've been there since like
Yeah,
the first game. This is kind of what it's all based around. But then, like, I suppose the Unity and Syndicate kind of like forgot that a bit. The only way you knew about the Izus in Syndicate was if you did this sort of little side section, was when you went to World War. Is it 1 or 2? Which one was Churchill?
2.
2. You go to like World War 2 and World War 2 Victoria London with another different character.
yeah. I think World War II is too far ahead.
Yeah, and then they like well, it was only a small little section. It was a side option, like you could do it or you couldn't.
Okay.
And then through that's when Juno talks to you, but it's like the only time Juno talks to you, and it was just kind of like, well, why are you only here? Why can't you be involved more in the story? And I get it, because there's some new Assassin's Creed players who sort of don't understand the whole Izu thing, so they just don't get it. So I feel like Ubisoft is attending to those new guys and not kind of giving the fans, like the OG fans like myself, enough credit. Like, they're not sort of sticking to their roots. They're just kind of like, we have the Izus, but we don't want to really continue with them.
I think the problem is EA is trying too hard to appeal to.
Who's EA?
No, I mean Ubisoft. They're all the same at this point. I think Ubisoft is falling into the problem that a lot of game industries have, and it's trying to appeal to the 12-year-old gamer.
Yeah,
and it's who want yearly releases if it means sacrificing quality and character development, and they just want the newest thing, and they want to be able to blow through the game as quickly as possible to get to the good stuff.
You see, like, these games aren't the age rating on these games literally mean nothing anymore, because they want
like, I remember,
the 12-year-olds.
I remember like 10 years ago, if you were 10, you tried to buy an 18's game. It was not happening. You had to get your mum to go into the shop and buy it for you.
Oh yeah.
But now with like a 12-year-old walk in and go, give me the new Call of Duty, and you go, grand, so cool, here you go.
Yeah, no, this is
18s has basically become PG at this stage.
Yeah, 18s is basically,
and kids are,
it's just 12 kind of,
and it's that kind of thing that's ruined a lot of good games, because these games, like Modern Warfare 2, I'm not a huge Call of Duty fan, but even I can admit Call of Duty 2 had interesting characters and a nice bit of development, and it was very deep, and it raised a lot of issues with the current political climate in the world. And just like a 12-year-old who just wants to shoot their friends can't really appreciate that. No. And that makes the industry think that they don't want that. And then that makes the industry take it out, which means all the people who can appreciate it don't get it anymore.
I suppose it's kind of linking all the way back to YouTube in a sense. And what I mean by that is that, like, most YouTubers' main demographic is between the 12-year-olds.
It's young.
And then they're all playing games, and they're all playing, these 18s games, even though their audiences are 12s, and they know that. And then so all the 12-year-olds flock towards those games, and then they get bored of them because, all these YouTubers keep playing different games all the times. And then so they're like, right, I want the next thing, I want the next thing, I want the next thing. And so, Activision, EA, and Ubisoft, they all have to look at that demographic.
Okay, EA has not handled the demand it needs for yearly releases very well.
No.
But I can't imagine that it's easy sitting around a boardroom or a bunch of developers sitting around just like a whiteboard trying to come up with a half-decent sellable game, and then there's half the room who just wants to get it out and get the money, and then there's the other half who want to take 2 years out, develop an absolute masterpiece, and push it, and really push it. But that being said, like, we're not advocating that kids, shouldn't play different games, because like we all bought 18s games we shouldn't.
Oh,
We all played Grand Theft Auto when we were like 7.
Yeah.
At an older friend's house or an older brother.
mm-hmm.
Like, we've all done it.
Yeah.
But we're just saying it's like, look at the fall in demand for childlike platformers. Crash Bandicoot, Spyro.
Yeah.
They haven't survived.
No.
Plain and simple, they have not survived, because it's just not it's just not as fun as the feeling of maturity you get from like
Blowing up your friend's head.
Okay, we're getting off topic anyways. So, would you like to keep talking about Assassin's Creed, or move on to your next game, or should I go over to my game? Or
You do one of your games, and then we'll bounce it back and forth.
Okay, my favourite game series of all time, and it always will be for now until the end of time, is Final Fantasy.
Really?
I love...
Oh my god, it's Final Fantasy.
Yeah, sorry, my balls just dropped. I love Final Fantasy. It is phenomenal. They're just the 15 absolute works of art. Okay, 13 absolute works of art.
12, 10,
10 absolute works of art.
9.
10 absolute works of art. One game that's broken as shit but still fun to play, and one that you just have to appreciate for what it is. They're excellent games. They're, for those of you who don't know Final Fantasy, and I can't imagine a lot of you do, they are just brilliant games from Square Enix, a massive developer out of Japan. And they're what's known as a kind of a subgenre of JRPGs. They're turn-based. There's a lot of they sacrifice a bit of combat sophistication for a deep turn-based system, and a lot of character development and world building and stuff. And they're just my favorite game because they're not normal. They're not like everything else. If you've ever played like a turn-based game, I can guarantee you it's copying at least one of the Final Fantasy games.
What about Pokemon?
Oh yeah, turn-based. Yeah, but actually, in all fairness, Pokemon is a unique game that spawned its own genre in itself.
Mm.
But it set the precedent for JRPGs and RPGs in general. Like, the first one came out in 1987 on the Nintendo Famicom.
The what now?
Exactly. And it's been re-released a million times over on every console. And they're just great games. There's something about... Take Final Fantasy VI, for instance. Final Fantasy VI has been called the greatest RPG of all time.
That was 7.
No, 7 is just a lot of people's first Final Fantasy game.
Okay.
6, it's just... so much goes on. Everything happens. Like, it defies convention. Like, I'm going to ruin it for you and I don't really care. At the end of the game, Kefka, the main villain...
Is that the Winnie the Pooh?
No, that's Seymour.
Okay.
From Final Fantasy X. Kefka's the clown kind of looking one. And all through the game, he says he's going to destroy the world. He's going to destroy the world. You're like, yeah, whatever. And you have what you think is your final battle with him. Like, we won. And he achieves godhood. And he actually destroys the world. He does what every villain in every game is boasting about, and he destroys the world. He remakes it in his own image, and your party is scattered and defeated, and you come back, and through all the odds, you just fucking plow through it. And like, Final Fantasy games have always let you play through at your own pace. If you want to be over leveled and blow through the game, not having to worry about any battles and just enjoy the story, you can. You can get to level 99 in like 2 days, and you can just destroy everything. It's no problem. Or you can, go with the level progression that's given to you in the game. Like, just take the random encounters you get, go through the game, and it can be a real struggle. Half the games are imagination. Half the game is imagination. Like, it might just say attack. Cecil swung his sword twice, deal 38 damage, and it might just be a sprite moves his arm really quickly twice, and like a POW symbol comes up on an enemy. But in your head, it's like, he's chopped through that enemy twice, and he's like severed it in half. It's just, and like, the games are consistently quality. From one, okay, a lot of people would know this about number 1. The original number 1 release had a lot of fucking problems. Like, only 3 of the stats actually worked. Like, strength made your weapons hit stronger, health made your health go up, and MP made your, or sorry, you didn't have MP at that stage, and something else did something else, your defense. But like your intelligence didn't go up, so your magic never got any stronger. Your speed never went up, so you never got any faster. None of that stuff worked. But it was still an amazing game. Like it did something that I've never seen repeated in a game. And on your way to the final boss of that game, there is like a 1.6% chance you will encounter the strongest enemy in the whole game in this one stretch of hallway to the final boss. And this thing is stronger than any other boss in the game. And there's like this 1.6 chance you'll encounter, and if you do, you'll win and you'll go up about 20 levels, or you'll lose and you'll be fucked. You have to start the final dungeon all over again. And it's just like so Final Fantasy. Like, you've never played any Final Fantasy games, have you?
I played 3 hours of 9 at your house.
Yeah, and what did you think of it? Honestly, what did you think of 9?
It was alright. It's very Japanese.
They're so Japanese. They're the most Japanese thing in the world.
Yeah, it's just kind of, it's very, everything's over the top and nothing's explained. Like Zidane has a
that all gets explained. Like
I imagine, yeah. And then they're very clearly ripping off Star Wars with your man who looks like a Jawa.
Vivi.
Vivi.
Oh, Vivi the Black Mage. Oh, for any of you who've played Final Fantasy 9, you know why he's been so emotional.
Yeah, no, it was good. I thought there wasn't I only played 3 hours, but I felt like there wasn't a lot of loot, and there wasn't a lot of sort of progression, as in like people's stats went up, but no one learned any new moves.
The progression in Final Fantasy games really comes less from equipment and more from abilities.
Yeah, but that's another thing. Like no one really when I was playing it, no one really learned any new moves. Like after the first scene, after the first kind of area, and you go into the forest, then everybody had already learned their moves that I was going to use for the next 2 hours, and nobody's got any new moves. No one's moves improved. Everyone was pretty much just kind of stale for the next 2 to 3 hours that I played. Granted, 2 to 3 hours, it's not a lot of time.
I can definitely see where you're coming from, but at the same time, Final Fantasy is a game that prides on your tactical thinking and your ability to use what's presented with you to win.
But it wasn't even that, because you could just use Vivi and use his fire attack and everything died.
That's the starting area of the game. It's like in Assassin's Creed Origins. You can use just your sword and nothing else, and just go in guns blazing into every area for the first 4 hours maybe. But then you have to start kind of being a bit more tactical about it. I get what you're saying, that it can get a bit stale, but as you accrue more equipment later on into the game, you get more abilities, your options become much more diverse. Especially in 12. 12 is a very controversial Final Fantasy game, but it has the biggest fucking library of abilities ever. You don't use 90% of them, at all, but it has just this massive library of things you can do.
And no, that kind of, I don't know if I like that. That's a bit like Pokemon, when there's thousands of moves that you don't really give a fuck about, that don't do anything. And then you have your small 10% moves that just absolutely love all the time.
Yeah, I get that. I get your gripes with Final Fantasy, and I do understand them, but it's just when you play 5 hours of Final Fantasy game, you get invested in characters and you genuinely care about them, and you always end up projecting yourself onto one character, and it's just you care about them. Something happened to one of them, you'll be emotionally hurt. It's just no other game does that to me. No other game makes me see a character get hurt and go, oh.
I've just thought of a game now that's coming to my head. I think I might have to change my number 2 spot.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. Yeah. What else? Okay, I'm going to address the elephant in the room. I like Final Fantasy 13.
Oh.
Okay, Final Fantasy 13 is my favorite. Is my first Final Fantasy. Sorry,
favorite.
I didn't mean to.
No, the internet will kill you. They'll kill us. We'll have no channel.
Sorry.
How could you say that? Take it back.
Mixed up my words. I meant to say it's my first Final Fantasy. And there's a saying among the Final Fantasy community that your first Final Fantasy game, no matter which one it was, will always hold a special place in your heart.
Yeah, it's just nostalgia, though.
And 13 really does hold a special place in my heart. Was it the best Final Fantasy game? No. Was the story good? No. Were the characters annoying and whingy? Oh yeah. But was the combat different from the rest of the games? Yes. Did they show Square Enix still wanted to innovate and change? Yes. Were some of the redesigns and some of the enemies and stuff cool? Bet your ass. Like, was the combat still fun? Sure. Was there one bullshit boss that I was never able to get past? Yeah.
Did you ever complete
No.
it?
And if you don't like Final Fantasy 13 for some of those reasons, Final Fantasy 13-2 fixes a lot of them.
I think that's called 14.
No, Final Fantasy 13, because Final Fantasy don't share a story across any games.
Okay.
So, like, if they want to release a sequel to a particular game, they just put, like, a dash and a 2 beside it. So, like, there's 10-2, there's Final Fantasy 4, The After Years, Final Fantasy 12, Revenant Wings. You know, it's because 14, like, they've never done that.
Fair enough.
But 13, yeah, I liked it. And I like 13-2 a lot more. And I know the internet is going to freak the fuck out. The only Final Fantasy 2 game, I've already given away. The only Final Fantasy game I've never thoroughly enjoyed is 2. And that's because 2 is broken as shit. And there's some fucker whose favourite Final Fantasy game is going to be Final Fantasy 2. And I know it's a good game. And I know there's a lot of good moments in it. And it brought a lot of classics to the franchise. But fuck me, is it broken. If you just grind for a bit, because there's no levels.
Okay.
You don't go up levels. Your stats go up by doing certain things in battle.
Alright.
Your health goes up by spending a longer amount of time in battle.
Okay.
Which amounts to you just having to go into a battle and constantly click defend to drag the balls out of the battle. To go with upgrade. Attack goes up by hitting enemies. Intelligence by fucking casting spells, all that. Defense goes up by getting hit. Speed goes up, I think, by running away. It's like, it's all these, like, it's just not. It's so hard to get a balanced progression on anyone. And you have to get proficient with weapons, which means you have to use them over and over and over again. And they get stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. But that just means the easiest way is to spend an hour grinding and make your bare hands the most fucking powerful thing in the... Jesus.
Jeebus!
Like, if you just grind for a bit, your fucking hands become the most world-endingly powerful thing in the game. Stop it. Serious topic. Stop wanking your wank stick. But it's just broken, and the main characters are particularly like Guy, the big muscle-head of the group, has like one memorable quote throughout the whole game. It's "Guy speak beaver."
Like, that's the most Japanese thing I've ever heard. Guy speaks beaver.
The most interesting characters in the game are the side characters, and fucking 90% of them die. So like, you're just left going, well, I'm left with Fury and your one, that guy and Guy. I can't even remember two of their names. And you're just like, I don't care about any of you. You're so boring.
That's how I honestly felt about Steiner.
Steiner gets a lot better.
I don't know, he just seems so boring. He's so like Mary Sue. He's just like, he's like, oh, I'm not gonna go with you, Zidane, because
You're a
you know,
thief.
You're a thief. You're a bad guy. And then he's like, well, you know, princess, so I'll go with you. And then he's kind of like, yeah, screw it, I'm part of your party. But he's still like, kind of like, but I still don't like you, but I'm with you. But I'll fight beside you, but I still hate you.
Yes, not Zidane. Steiner gets a lot better. He goes through a major development. His world kind of gets, his worldview gets shaken up a lot when he realizes that the kingdom he's sworn his life to isn't exactly what he thinks it is, and he his worldview gets a bit shaken up. But like Final Fantasy 9 isn't even one of the best Final Fantasy games out there. Fucking 7, while it hasn't aged terrifically with the graphics, it's still a phenomenal game to play.
And you're never getting the remaster of that.
The fucking remaster is never coming out. God's sake.
We want it episodic. No, don't do this.
It's internet. I know we all want it, but it's never coming out. Fuck it. You can get Final Fantasy 7 for like €19 on the Xbox store or the PS store. Just get that. It's so much easier.
Half-Life 3 is going to come out before Final Fantasy 7 gets remastered.
You heard it here first, people. Half-Life 3 confirmed.
Half-Life 3.
Send your angry emails to Valve.
Oh yeah. Not us though.
Yeah, but
you like us. We hope.
My favorite Final Fantasy game is 3. That's because 3 introduced the job system. Gosh darn it, do I love any game with a job system. It's like you
to get a job, like you to be cleaner.
No,
clean someone's house, or you would
it's like
cut someone's lawn.
It's like free movement between classes, and you get like 20 classes to pick from. They all do different things completely, and it's so cool. like you get like there's this one class called a Geomancer that you get after obtaining the Fire Crystal, I think, and basically it has its only ability is Geomancy, and it casts a different spell relating to the kind of terrain you're on, and it's so cool. A lot of them are very situational, but like it's the job system they brought in for Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy 12, and they revamped again in Final Fantasy 5. You're just like, no game makes me just care like a Final Fantasy game does. No game makes me be invested in the characters like I am with a Final Fantasy game. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I can get that. Yeah. So,
do you want to go with your original number deuce, or try and change it up?
I think I'm going to change it.
Yeah.
So,
if you pick Dark Souls,
I'm not picking
because that's my backup in case mine falls through.
No, I'm going to switch it to Mass Effect.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you like Mass Effect.
I love Mass Effect.
Yeah, I've never played a Mass Effect game, by the way.
I've played 1, I've played 2, and I've played 3, but not chronologically. I started off playing 3, and then I went back and played 1 and 2, and I'm on the last part of 2. I just haven't finished it off because I had to uninstall it because thank you Xbox One for having limited storage.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan of Mass Effect. I've never played them, but I am a fan of what they offer up.
Yeah, no, I mean, look, if you don't like sci-fi, you're not gonna like Mass Effect.
It's not sci-fi that I don't like. It's just I don't know. It seems kind of like I'm not into the whole going through hours in a character creator thing. It's like
I literally just used
presets.
The preset because I really liked how Shepard looked, and I was like, if I mess around in the character preset, I'm not gonna get this, So I was like, all right, we'll stick with original Shepard.
Yeah,
he's a cool guy.
But I do like the mechanics that it proposes.
Yeah. It did something that Assassin's Creed has tried to do and failed, and that is like it has improved its gameplay from every game to the next, to next, to next. Even the fabled Andromeda, even that.
But it's expertly doing facial animations and clipping through stairs is
exactly. But even that had better gameplay, as in the combat than the last 3 did. The jump pack added a sense of verticality that the game's never had before. But I don't know, like Mass Effect has done something for me which no other game has, except for maybe Gears of War 3, and that has almost made me cry.
I love Gears of War.
I love Gears of War.
Gears of War is an awesome game. Co-op survival in that game is masterful.
Oh, I love it. But I mean, yeah, so I started off with 3, and obviously that was probably a mistake, but 3 had come out, and I was like, what's this? And I gave it a try. And I've never, ever in a game cared so much about characters that I've only met in the last couple of hours.
Yeah, it's the same with Final Fantasy. You just care so much.
It's just
like when Aerith died in Final Fantasy VII, this character that's built up as your love interest.
Yeah,
she just dies, and you're just like you're heartbroken. You're like, no, who'll I love?
I know this, but even like, because every kind of decisions in Mass Effect 3 had to be like pre-made from the last 2 ones because I hadn't played them. So it was kind of like random chance of what I got, but I was just I was mind blown by just how invested I got into them, even though I didn't know who these people were at all.
And why they were doing what they were doing.
And like even Jacob, who, let's face it, if for anyone who played Mass Effect, like Jacob's not the most interesting character. He's cool, but he's not the most interesting. But even like when you meet him, you just meet him in its abandoned outpost, and you bring him back to the Citadel, and then he starts going on about how he has this kid now. And I was like, oh my god, you've a kid now? And then I was like, hang on, Ben, you've only met this guy like 20 minutes ago. But it was just incredible. And like when characters died, it was just gut-wrenching. Like Morden died, and it was just terrible.
Sorry, if I can just interrupt. Who made Mass Effect again?
BioWare.
EA. And I know they made something else.
They made Dragon Age.
Oh, I love Dragon Age.
Yeah. Anyway. But it was just like, what the hell? And the combat, I really like the combat because I love any game that gives me the option to do sort of magic. And I suppose there's no real magic in Mass Effect. It's all
sci-fi.
Sci-fi. but it still kind of counted as magic, if you get me. Like, I played the Adept, and it was just the amount of shit you could do was fantastic. It was so broken in Mass Effect 1, though, because each individual power had its own cooldown, and you could get your character to a point where cooldowns would barely last like a second. And you'd have this massive wheel of powers, like 10 of them, and so you could just, every time you wanted to use a power, time would stop and it would bring up this power wheel. So you'd just be like, I'm shooting you with this, then I'm going to switch to this, and that guy's getting that, and this guy's getting this, and everyone's just dead before you get out of the power wheel. And it was just fantastic, just causing so much chaos and not even needing to use your gun. Because the thing with the Adepts is they only get to use like pistols and submachine pistols. That's kind of their only weapon, so they're heavily reliant on their powers. So
and there's no like mana bar or like energy meter or anything.
No, but every power every power in Mass Effect 1 had an individual cooldown rate.
Kind of like an MMO.
Kind of like an MMO, except now in 2 and 3, all powers had a cooldown rate because they realised just how overpowered you could get.
Also, they all shared a cooldown rate.
So they all share.
So you used one, they all had to.
Yeah, so it's like you had to use one, get into cover, see what you could do with your machine pistol.
That kind of seems like it really limits your gameplay.
It didn't, because
that, or it kind of creates a sense of urgency.
It was like, I mean, you would pick the soldier class. And the soldier class would have given you like every weapon.
That fix sounds like it makes for either terrible gameplay or incredible gameplay.
It was incredible because like you could pick the soldier one if you wanted to be boring, and you'd get like
just shoot.
All you get every gun.
Shooty gun.
Every gun you get all the guns, and then all your powers would just be different ammo variants, like
or explosive ammo.
Like it's like warp ammo, and you'd get like incendiary ammo.
This sounds kind of cool.
It was cool, but it was boring. Like you could get the engineer, and they'd have all these tech powers.
That sounds good.
That was kind of cool. They would get like tech armor, and you could get like these little sentries to come up and help you fight.
I love an out sentry. I love games that let you deploy a turret to cover your ass.
Yeah, you could do those little things, but then like I just preferred the Adept because I was like, I want to use as many powers as possible, and like you could do cool things. Like there was one combination which was you could shoot this one called Singularity, and what it did was kind of create this little vortex that everyone got sucked into, and then they would like fly around in it for a certain period of time, and you could pick them off. But if you had Singularity and then you had another power called Warp, and Warp like just ripped people's health and armor off. But if you hit someone in a Singularity with Warp, just everything exploded into this, nice blue and white, just explosion happened everywhere, and it was just beautiful to watch.
Do you know what ability I've always found oddly satisfying in games? Any ability that lets you pull a large number of enemies into a very tight space.
That's kind of what Singularity did.
And then you could shoot them all at once. And
that's exactly Singularity. It's like, if there's a big rush of people coming at you, you hit them with a Singularity, all of them get flipped inside this vortex, and then you could just order your squad mates to like pick them off, and while you choose another power, or you could pick them off yourself and get them to do something else to the few remaining stragglers. And
yeah, that's another thing I always wondered about Mass Effect. The squad and the ordering kind of thing. Is the tactical system, is it implemented well? Is it widely used? Is it is it important?
I found it important because you see, what I would do is,
or is it like the AI terrible and you say like go attack them and they stand there like an idiot for 30 seconds and don't do anything?
No, what I would do is the AI improved obviously throughout the games. Obviously the first one was the best, but what they all did is, because you have your Adept, you have your soldier, and you have like your engineer. They're kind of the three main classes. There are some other classes that kind of combine bits of both.
Okay.
So I would be the Adept, and then I might choose like Garrus, who is, I think he's an infiltrator. So they're like kind of like proficient in snipers, but they kind of have like soldier powers, so like different ammo types and stuff.
Also, they're stealthy.
And I could have Liara, who's another Adept, or I would bring Tali, who's an engineer. And it was kind of interesting to bring Tali, because what Tali could do was overload, which kind of like, I think overload would disrupt enemies' weapons, so they couldn't fire at you.
Oh, that is amazing.
Yeah, so you could bring her, you could tell her to use overload.
What did it last for? 10 seconds?
Maybe like 5 seconds, something like that.
It's a long 5 seconds, something like that.
It was, it lasted a good while, so you'd just be picking people off. Like, Garrus had this thing where he could like make his like headshots like super powerful. So and he mostly got a headshot, so you could just get him to like bust this guy's armor off, and then
Buster Rhymes.
Buster Rhymes.
Guys, I think Buster Rhymes is going to be our channel name.
Buster Rhymes.
That and the thing in our introductory podcast that Ben said about Prototype.
Oh yeah.
What was it?
Even though it's fantastic.
Yeah.
But like that's the thing. You just mix and match. And you mix and match. Mix and mush. Now you can mix and match like different characters to sort of get the best sort of playthrough you could, And then there was AI overload as well. Like she could Tally as well. She could like stop any robotic characters, like just blow them up. Kind of stop doing your ASMR shit.
I'm rubbing my stubble into the mic.
You don't have stubble,
and it upsets Ben.
Upsets me greatly.
Stop rubbing my leg. Go away.
Yeah, go away. You go away.
But yeah, I've never played a Mass Effect game.
I need to, man.
Something just always kind of.
If you want to see us play Mass Effect, let us know down in the comments below.
Yeah, like, comment, subscribe. Yeah. See how seamlessly we transition into that.
Yeah.
I don't know. Something's always just kind of put me off. Because like, I love Dragon Age.
Okay.
I love Dragon Age.
Never played Dragon Age.
I think it's basically medieval Mass Effect. Love Dragon Age. It's so good. Some of my favorite games. They don't make it onto this list, but I love them so much. And maybe I was kind of put off because they're kind of sci-fi. You probably would see Dragon Age as medieval Mass Effect.
Okay.
Whereas I see Mass Effect as sci-fi Dragon Age.
Alright.
And therefore a clone of Dragon Age, and therefore not as good.
Well, like, there is the controversial Mass Effect 3 ending, and then there's Mass Effect Andromeda.
All your choices in the entire game were boiled down to absolute nothing.
Pretty much.
Yeah, I'm aware of the controversy.
Yeah, and then...
But guys, can we just talk about like how expertly done BioWare did the facial animations for Mass Effect Andromeda?
Oh, it's supreme,
Like the mocap is...
They definitely didn't, feed into the SJW bullshit. Oh, and hire people with complete skills, and not just because they had, ethnic diversity, and never have a developer that was like spouting like racist shit towards white people, and yet he was still the lead developer. It's not getting put out.
But I love Mass. What am I saying? I've never played a Mass Effect.
Yeah.
God, I'm wrecked tired.
We need coffee after this.
Yeah, we're planning on recording a bit more after this, but now, to get on to my last one, is Monster Hunter. A favourite of a lot of people out there.
Yeah, it's gotten a resurgence now due to Monster Hunter World, so a lot of people are playing this.
Monster Hunter is the world's best loot grind.
Oh no.
God damn it, do I love Monster Hunter is the only game where I will replay the same mission 4 times in a row to get one fucking item because I need it because that weapon looks cool.
No. I can't do that.
Monster Hunter is awesome.
I'm not denying that, but I've been playing the same thing over and over. I would die.
There is nothing better than going into a mission first time, just about scraping by winning. Going in the second time, same thing. Third time, you're on par with it. Fourth time, this is your bitch. You can just kick the shit out of anything that comes at you.
You just win the first time. What's the point in going back?
Because weapons take materials to craft.
Okay.
And certain materials are rarer than others, and you need higher quantities of certain materials than others. Okay. So you have to go back, and maybe you didn't cut the monster's tail off, so you didn't get that particular tail part. Maybe you didn't break its horns, so you didn't get the horns. Maybe you just didn't carve off that particular part, and that weapon is cool as shit, and you need it.
But sure, if the thing dies, can you not just carve it then?
Yeah, you only get 3 carves though.
Okay.
And you get your mission rewards, but it might not be enough. Like, it's so good. They're just, it's one of my favourite games of all time. And the combat is down to a T, super.
That's fighting words.
Not a frame is not missed in a Monster Hunter game. Everything is just perfection. And since Monster Hunter World, when they added in all these excellent quality of life changes, like the ability to move while drinking a potion and not have to do fucking stupid flex that almost always meant the health you got back was negated because the monster just hit you, but stop flexing. You're like those cartoon characters when they flex and the muscle goes up, then goes straight back down.
Stop. Need my bingo wings out of this.
But yeah, they made so many quality life changes. Like, you can set auto craft, so when you pick up the resources in the field to craft an item, it just automatically makes it for you. Instead of you having to go into the menu, go to craft, look for the craft it.
Oh god, you mean like every other game where you craft something?
Yeah, but you can't pause in Monster Hunter.
That's stupid.
It's for the online.
Yeah, but sure, you're not online all the time.
But just the weapons are excellent. The combat feels good. Monster Hunter has done a good job of making sure there's no best weapon. There's no meta. There's no, for this game, only lances are being used because they're just completely overpowered. They've done an excellent job of keeping everything absolutely usable. Like, my favorite weapon is the longsword or the switch axe, and there's different weapons for different people.
Thanks for fucking the mic up.
Like, I won't use the greatsword because it's too slow. I won't use the dual blades because they don't do enough damage at once. I won't use the hammer because I hate the hammer. I won't use the gun lance because I can't deal with that level of sharpness depletion. The lance, you just can't move. The charge blade is way too complicated.
Isn't the lance the one that lets you do crazy acrobatics though?
No, that's the insect glaive.
Oh, okay.
The insect glaive is like this double-sided spear thing.
Yeah.
You get to jump all in the air. That's a cool weapon, but you should know your monsters really well to use that one. Because you have this thing called a kinsect, which basically you shoot it at the monster, it'll take a different coloured buff from the monster. And your objective with that weapon is to get to 3 different coloured buffs and activate them all at once. So you get like this ultra state. But different parts of the monster, like the head could give you a red buff, tail could give you white, body could give you orange, arms could give you red. So you have to know your monsters like inside and out. You have to know every percentage you get in every buff. So it just takes a lot of research and work. You have to know the monster. Whereas like the longsword is just rewards you for constantly attacking. Because you build up this meter, and then when the meter's full, you get attack boost. You get this really cool spear combo, or red slashes going over the screen and everything. The charge blade, switch axe switches from axe to this big massive sword that you press 2 buttons, charges up and explodes into the monster. As a Monster Hunter World, you can grip onto the monster and jab the sword into the side of it and charge up and explode out of it. It's just so badass. And like, the game has such a way of making you feel like an epic badass for just playing it.
Yeah, but, I mean, the story is shit in Monster
Hunter.
Hunter.
The story is horrific in every Monster Hunter game. No one cares about the story in Monster Hunter game. It's inconsequential.
I know, but for someone like me that's a lore whore, like, it's just...
Oh, there's lots of lore.
It kind of hurts.
Oh no, the lore is all there. It's just the story is terrible. Like, the reasons you're fighting the monster in the story missions, whatever. Who gives a shit? Oh no, this thing is attacking this caravan that was carrying this to here. Who cares? Let me just fight the monster. Like, it's not an unfair game. If you lose, it's because you don't know the monster well enough. It's because you don't know what it's going to do. It's not because, like, it has a cheap attack. Unless you're fighting, the Plesioth, which is a fucking cunt, which hides in the water, no matter how many sonic bombs you throw at it. Its tail swipe could hit you from a different area of the map. It's a cunt of a thing.
Just reminds me of every Dark Souls boss ever.
Yeah, that brings me to the next point. Monster Hunter, for those who don't know, is basically a series of tough boss fights against different, like, they're not monsters because they're not unnatural within the world. Like, a Tigrex to the Monster Hunter world is a tiger or a lion to the real world. And like, the monsters and the progression is so obvious.
So, do you think it should be renamed to like a Poacher Hunter world?
Yeah, exactly. Extinction Driver. But the progression is so obvious because if you make a new weapon from a strong monster, it's going to be a strong weapon. And it's going to do something cool.
Fair enough.
And like, the armor, like, it makes you look so cool. You're decked out with, I don't know, like a Diablos' armor. You've horns that coming out of your shoulder. It's like made of stone and everything.
So it looks a bit like Daedric armor.
Kinda, but it's bulkier.
Okay, fair enough.
Like, there's no such thing as light armor or heavy armor or whatever in Monster Hunter.
Just armor.
Yeah, it's just armor. So like, you're not limited by weight or anything.
So nothing slows you down.
Nothing slows you down.
Okay.
Like you can wear like
That's interesting.
because like a heavy monster will give you heavy armor, but
Okay.
a light monster will give you like kind of lighter looking armor, but it could have the same stats. It's like a monster will give me a heavy monster. Like the Uragan is like this big kind of massive brute wyvern which are based on dinosaurs. Rolls around the base and he's like made of stone and like he swings himself around guys and he bashes his head in the ground. He gives you big, heavy, bulky armor that makes you look like an absolute tank. But the Nergakuga, which is like this sleek black stealth hunter based on cougars, gives you like, you know, its armor is like a sleeve for the gauntlets and it's like a vest for the thing. It's like a headband, but it still give you the same amount of stats. It's just whatever you prefer to look like.
I think I'd go for the stone armor, to be fair.
Yeah, it's whatever like makes it's your preference. Like there's everything for everyone in the game, and like everyone has a favorite monster. Mine happens to be Xenogre, this wolf, this dragon based on a wolf. He's quadrupedal. He's kind of turquoise.
So yeah, I remember you fighting him.
Shoots lightning and he
Yeah.
does all this crazy hip hop shit. And he flies all over the place.
Oh, hip hop. Is he Busta Rhymes now?
Yeah, he's Busta
Everyone
Rhymes.
is Busta Rhymes.
He's Busta Rhymes and he just like dances. He's like flips all over the place and like he is an awesome monster and he's so cool. They're all cool. And like a lot of people say that Monster Hunter is, you know, you don't know what you're doing. It's like very inaccessible, and it is. It's incredibly complicated, and you can get very lost in the game very quickly.
Okay.
Like if you were to just sit someone down with no context in Monster Hunter, I guarantee you in an hour they would look at you. What the fuck do we do? But just if you can get into it, you really get into it. And like as a world, they've made these changes so that the game is more accessible. It's more fun to play, and like movement was a big thing they tweaked in World. So a lot of time Monster Hunter games you're consigned to the ground, and you can roll or you can run and you can hit.
Okay.
But in this one, it's like, you know, if your spirit gauge is fully charged up with the longsword, you can do the thing where you stab the monster, run up it, do like a 360 turn in midair, come down and chop on it. You'll stop for like a second, put away the weapon, and the big red slash will go on the screen. You'll do like shitloads of damage at once, and it's so cool. And like, there's a weapon for everyone. There's fast weapons, there's range weapons, there's guns.
Guns.
Yeah, the only thing about the guns is they're very resource heavy because you have to craft all your own bullets.
Oh,
So like,
not ours.
yeah, so like it's a very effective weapon, but at the same time you have to go grind for materials, and if you don't, it'll cost you a fortune.
Yeah, no. Give me the swords.
Yeah, but they made it really cool in Monster Hunter where like you get like sticky ammo where you shoot into a monster's head, and you'll see like this fuse going down the monster's head, and it'll be like charging at you, about to eat the fuck out of you, and a massive explosion just erupt out of the side of its face, and it'll go flying. Another thing I love about Monster Hunter World is the living, breathing ecosystem they've managed to create in the world.
Even though you've never played the game.
No, in every game. Like,
Oh, you said Monster Hunter World. But...
oh, sorry, I meant like the world in Monster Hunter.
Oh, okay.
There's like in Monster Hunter, there's a food chain. There's things that are afraid of other things. You know, certain monsters will interact with each other. You know, it's a living, breathing ecosystem of things that interact and work together, and it's a very delicate balance. Like there's a monster that it's been in every game, I think, except for World. It's called the Fatalist, and it's this big black, like it's your stereotypical dragon. It's like twisty horns and like shoots fireballs. And it's on all fours. It's very slender, and it's like an endgame thing. It's like it kick the shit out of you. And the biggest monster and one of the biggest monsters in the game is Lao Shan Lo. He's like the size of a fucking mountain, and you use specialized equipment to hunt him and everything. And it explains to you that the reason he's constantly attacking the fortress is because there's a certain spot past the fortress where it is safe from the one monster is afraid of, which is the Fatalist, which is chasing it for food. And it's just like, you're like, wow, that's such, like, that makes it a living, breathing world. Like, you'll see the Rathian, like, pick up a herbivore monster, drop it into its cave for its young to eat. Or you'll see, like, the tiny little, like, annoying, like, pack hunter monsters going for the Rathian's nest, and it'll come out of nowhere and fuck a bitch up. It's such this amazing, breathing, living, just, you feel like when you're hunting a monster, you've made a difference to that ecosystem. And like with the elder dragons, like these unnatural beasts that upset the balance of nature wherever they go. And like they're only called elder dragons because they cannot classify them as anything else. It was this one, like they're called dragons, but there's this one called Kirin, and it's this is like this shining white unicorn that fucking rains down lightning. And it's you're looking at it going, it's not a dragon, but then you realise it's so unnatural they can't explain it, and that's why they call it an elder dragon.
It's the Mr. Toots.
Yeah, and it's just that kind of world. It's just, I love it so much. So guys, I think that's where we're going to wrap it up. Now, if you listened last week, we did a review of The Client by the Black Panther, and we're going to do one of them every couple of weeks, and it's going to alternate between me picking a series and Ben picking a series. And I picked Black Panther The Client, so Ben is going to tell you now the series he wants us to read for the next review.
So for the next review, I was thinking, since I'm such a big Iron Man fan, and that Robert Downey Jr. is on his last legs as Iron Man, I think it would only be fitting if we did a superior Iron Man.
For those of you who don't know what that is, I think it's like a 14-issue series that Marvel ran from after Access when Iron Man was turned evil, where you got a really cool kind of silver
and blue suit. Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to be reading that, and we're going to give you our thoughts and everything on everything that happens in it. And we're going to do them every couple of weeks alongside our other podcasts, and eventually gameplay when we get it up and running. So guys, this has been Destination Procrastination. Thanks for listening to us talk about our favourite games for nearly an hour and 10 minutes. See you next week.
Bye lads.